Good morning, agents, and welcome to another daily episode of Target Loot today for Wednesday, December 2nd. In this series, we cover a lot from the Target Loot maps, the DZ exclusives you can farm for, highlights from the weekly vendor resets, build and farming suggestions, and a lot more. I'm Shadow Gaming, and if you enjoyed this video, consider pressing the subscribe and like buttons below, and remember to comment below if you have any questions. Otherwise, let's get this video started. Alright, agents, so starting off with the dark zones. Now there's a lot to talk about today in the dark zones, every single one. Now for the vendor reset highlights, they're always going to be in the bottom left overlay. The only real recommendations I would do is maybe the campus has the forge holster for you shield build users, and then we also got the surge with perfect spike at the theater. Otherwise, not a whole lot that I'd really recommend even at the dark zone vendors. Now for actual targeted loot, we got rifles in dark zone west. So starting off with that, there's 3 DZ exclusive rifles you could farm for. That's going to be the Harmony with perfect in sync, which is amazing and highly worth farming for as well. There's going to be the Virginian with perfect boomerang and the Everlasting Gaze with perfect perpetuation. All 3 of those are highly worth farming for. The Harmony in particular, the Virginian for DPS builds, and the Everlasting Gaze is really great for, your Eclipse Protocol build or something that gives you more damage to status affected enemies. Alright guys, so next up in Dark Zone South, we got assault rifles. Now once again, another great Dark Zone exclusive to farm for, which is going to be the RAILSPLITTER with perfectly accurate. Now that's kind of a collectible, but it also goes really well on some assault rifle builds, and it's worth trying out for sure. And then lastly, we got DZ East, which is 511 tactical, and my absolute favorite build for TU11 requires these gloves. They're called the Death Grips, and they give you 10% armor on kill. They were buffed from 5% from back in TU10, I believe. So that's highly worth farming for sure, and just rolled out with armor that it gives you already, and then maybe crit hit chance or crit hit damage. And I'll put that build in the top right card for you guys because it's really worth putting together. Now let's go check out what we got on the north side now. Alright agents, now over here on the north side highlights, starting off with Camp White Oak, and I'll do the invaded missions real quick, which is Camp White Oak of course, Bank HQ, DCD HQ, and then also Roosevelt Island at the end, and of course Tidal Basin like always. Now, we got aces and 8s at Camp White Oak. That's a headshot gear set, so you want to mix 3 pieces with 2 pieces of Heralda Holding and the Chain Killer chest piece, and that's a really easy, to put together build, and roll everything with weapon damage, weapon handling, and headshot damage. Next up, we got knee pads at Coney Island Ballpark. So there's 2 exotic knee pads you can farm for here, the Ninja Bike Messenger, and then the Sawyer's knee pads, and that's for DPS builds, and Sawyer's for more like tank builds. You can also farm for the Fox's Prayer with 8% damage to targets out of cover, but I highly recommend District Union Arena today because they are Overlord brand name, and that's probably the best to farm the brand, not the type. Next up, we got gear system mods at Coney Island Amusement Park. Now you could farm this in Summit on Legendary, but usually I get God Ruled mods on Heroic as well as Legendary, so it's really up to you what you want to do, but I personally just farm them on Heroic. And then last but not least, we got Manning National Zoo we got the Bellstone Armory at Manning National Zoo. So this is where you can get the everyday carrier with perfectly efficient. Now I never use that chest piece, but just to let you guys know, the Liquid Engineer with Perfect Bloodsucker backpack is a DZ exclusive, so you cannot farm for it in the open world. Just like the Harmony is a DZ exclusive, so you can't farm for it on rifle targeted loot. But anyway, this is just something you could farm for today if you choose so. And then Kenley College is closed, and the Summit you pick your own targeted loot. So now let's go check out what we got on the west side. Alright agents, now starting off on the west side with the gear sets first, we got Negotiator's Dilemma at the West Atomic Park area. This is kind of what I do. I have a double LMG build I'll put in the top right card now that utilizes 4 pieces of Negotiator's Dilemma, mixed with 1 pair of Grupo Sombro gloves and the Coyotes mask. It's a really good build to put together, and I run it with the Pestilence and just, the Neg EV, because that's just personally my favorite LMG that's a high end. Next up, we got Hunter's Fury at Weston. Now, everyone probably knows this already. It's an SMG and shotgun build. I already put one of my favorite builds on the top right with Hunter's Fury, but I'll put another one that I really enjoy as well. That's going to be the Memento backpack, 4 pieces of Hunter's Fury, and then, of course, the Sokolov chest with Obliterate on it. That's a really good damage build, and then you just throw 3 armor cores on it, and it goes really well in solo heroic content. And then lastly, we got Tip of the Spirit Federal Emergency Bunker. This just increases your specialization weapon damage. I never use this gear set, so I just never really recommend it. Now with the normal targeted loot, we got Petrov over here at Bank HQ, so you can farm for the Contractor's Gloves. That's 8% damage to armor. It's highly worth farming for if you run any LMG build, or you can mix it with 2 pieces of Walker Harrison code to stack the damage to armor and run Assault Rifles or the Lady Death. Next up, we got Douglas and Harding at the White House area. So instead of farming mask, just farm Douglas and Harding for the punch drunk mask. That's 20% headshot damage baked into that mask, and it's worth running on an all high-end headshot damage build. We got Hana Yu at Tidal Basin, so that's the Force Multiplier backpack with perfect combined arms. Highly worth farming for a roll with skill haste and skill damage, and throw it on my 3-piece Hardwire, 2-piece Hana Yu, and 1-piece Wyvern Wear Assault Turret Striker Drone build. We got gloves over here at Potomac Event Center area. Sorry, Foggy Bottom. So that's the BTSU gloves. Those are definitely worth farming for. And like I said with Petrov, you want to farm the Contractor's gloves Petrov, and then gloves Targeted Loot's good just for BTSU gloves. You got submachine guns at Roosevelt Island. So there's 3 exotics. That's the Chatterbox, the Backfire, and the Lady Death. Now the Chatterbox, I'll put the guide in the top right card now for anyone that doesn't have it yet. Otherwise, the Backfire and the Lady Death, you can just straight farm for it in SMG Targeted Loot. And then of course the Dark Winter and the Apartment are Dark Zone exclusives, so you cannot farm for them outside of the Dark Zone, just keep that in mind. The named SMGs that you can farm for outside of the Dark Zone would be the Safety Distance with Perfect Outsider, the Swap Chain, and the Grudge. Now the Grudge and the Safety Distance are highly worth farming for. The Swap Chain I just never recommend because I've never really even used. And then lastly, if you guys really want that Memento backpack, you want maybe a second one, just farm Lincoln Memorial today. You just farm backpack Targeted Loot and it'll drop eventually. You can beat this mission on Heroic solo in less than 9 minutes, so it's a really fast clear and there's 3 bosses at the end, so that's what I would recommend. Otherwise, I'd really just recommend Sokolov over here at the Potomac Event Center. Remember, chest pieces, put Obliterate or Intimidate on it, and then for the backpack talent, I'd run Adrenaline Rush or Vigilance. The last couple I'd recommend is Grupo Sombro at the Pentagon. Remember, 1 piece for DPS builds and 2 pieces for skill explosives damage builds, and that's just how it's run with all yellows on the second one. And then otherwise, you got to roll the holdings at DARPA Research Labs. Just like with the Chain Killer chest piece, remember to roll this with weapon damage, weapon handling, and then headshot damage. Crit hit chance and crit hit damage don't really matter with a headshot damage build. Just get that headshot damage over 200%. Alright, let's go check out what we got on the east side now. Alright agents, now we're over here on the east side, Targeted Loot highlights. Starting off with the gear sets, we got Foundry Bulwark at Grand Washington Hotel. Now I normally just don't really ever recommend this, but I would be interested if Foundry Bulwark was kind of a good DPS hybrid. Otherwise, the chest and backpack pieces are raid exclusive, so keep that in mind when you're farming for this or future initiative. They're exclusive to the Iron Horse raid. But for a DPS hybrid, I would roll 4 of these with weapon damage, the Memento, and a Sokolov or Fenris chest piece probably. We got Eclipse Protocol at Judiciary Square. Now that's a fire damage build that I usually put together, so 4 pieces with the Imperial Dynasty holster and the 1 piece of Golan gear for that extra 10% status effects. You can also run it with the Vial Mask as well, I just don't really prefer it. And if you do run the Vial Mask, I recommend running the Demolitionist spec to increase the debuff damage from the Vial Mask, but like I said, I prefer the Imperial Dynasty, but it's all up to you on what you prefer. Last couple we got for gear sets would be Striker at Space Admin. So remember, 3 pieces increases your rate of fire and weapon handling overall. So this is something that I would do maybe for a Merciless build, but otherwise I just don't touch Strikers. I don't think the damage stack from the 4 pieces is worth it over all high-end build. And then lastly, we got Ongoing Directive at Jefferson Plaza. This is a bleed damage build, so what I do is mix 4 pieces with Ridgeway's Pride and then an Eclipse Protocol backpack. But unfortunately, the Eclipse Protocol 4-piece backpack talent, the bonus one, System Aggravator, is supposedly getting fixed in TU12, so keep an eye out for that. I'll put that in the link. I'll put a link to it in the pinned comment below. Alright, so guys, normal targeted loot, we got Badger Tough at Southwest. You could farm the 0F's chest piece with Perfect Unbreakable. Every 55 seconds that your armor breaks, it just restores 100% of it. There's a great DPS build I'll put in the top right card that utilizes this chest piece and is actually worth farming for a good DPS hybrid build. Next up, we got Providence Defense at East Mall. So you got 4 control points here to farm for. This is a really cool, clean, open, area. You could farm for the Sacrifice with Perfect Glass Cannon. So that's going to amplify all damage you do by 30%, but all incoming damage you get is going to be amplified by 60%. So you're pretty squishy. So I normally just run Obliterate or Intimidate over this, but it's all user, what you prefer. Next up, we got Light Machine Guns at Viewpoint Museum. So the Bullet King and the Pestilence are the only 2 exotics you can farm for, and the Pestilence is highly worth farming for, and the Bullet King I don't really use that much. I think the base damage isn't very high, but of course it has unlimited ammo basically, no reload, so it is worth farming for on some builds. Otherwise, there's some good named LMGs, my favorites being the Carnage with Perfect Sadist and the new Reliable with Perfectly Optimized, but there is several others as well. We got Walker Harrison Co. at Federal Triangle, so you can farm the Chainkiller chest piece with Perfect Headhunter, but remember that the Matador of Perfect Adrenaline Rush is a DZ exclusive backpack, so you cannot farm for it outside of the Dark Zone. But yeah, other than that, there really isn't anything else mentioning on the east side, so let's go check out now what we got in the New York City area. Alright agents, last but not least, we got the New York City targeted loot highlights. Starting off with the gear sets, we got True Patriot at 2 bridges. So True Patriot is probably one of my favorite builds in TU11. Now I mix 4 pieces of True Patriot with all armor cores with the Memento backpack and a Sokolov chest piece with Intimidate, and oh my goodness, it shreds through content, solo and in group. I like to run the Lady Death and the Mop with it, but there's several other variants, and you can also switch the Sokolov chest for a Fenris piece if you want to run the Chameleon or an assault rifle in general. Otherwise, we got Hardwired over here at Wall Street area today, so if you do want to grab this before TU12, you can mix 3 pieces with that 2 pieces of Hana-U, 1 piece Wyvernware with Kinetic, Momentum, or Glass Cannon on your chest piece, and the Force Multiplier backpack with Perfect Combined Arms. And that is probably one of the best, if not best, turret and striker drone build you could put together, at least for now until TU12 drops. Last couple things we got is MMRs at Liberty Island. Now you can farm for the Mantis and the Nemesis, but remember the Nemesis is a quest only item and you do need to get the blueprint from Grand Washington Hotel when it's invaded first before you can actually farm for it. Now, for the named MMRs that are worth it, I only recommend the White Death and Ekim's Longstick with Perfect Ranger. I think those are the only 2 that are really worth farming for, in my opinion. Next up, we got chest pieces at Battery Park area, so that's the Tardigrade and the Ridgeway's Pride. Those are the 2 exotic chest pieces you could farm for. But remember, the Ridgeway's Pride is a project you get after you complete the summit on floor 100 by getting all 5 difficulty exotic components first. So, if you farm with someone else that does have it like myself, then, ask nicely if maybe they could drop it for you so you could skip that project altogether. Otherwise, you do need to complete the project first. And the last couple we got is holsters at Civic Center. So remember, the 2 exotic holsters you could farm for is the Dodge City holster and the Imperial Dynasty holster. And both of those are wildly different. So the Imperial Dynasty holster is for skill damage and status effects, and the Dodge City is usually for pistol builds, or I believe it gives you headshot damage on the body. So it's really good with pistol builds for sure, but also headshot damage builds as well. And then, of course, the Forge holster with 50% shield health is pretty good. You can pick that up this week at the campus, I believe. So that's something you can do instead of farm for it. And then last but not least, we got shotguns at Stranded Tanker. Now that's the Sweet Dreams exotic shotgun with the Sandman talent. You can one-hit kill reds and purples. And then, of course, the 3 best shotguns in the game, in my opinion, is the Mop with 10% armor on kill baked into it with close and personal on it, the Custom M8 70, and the Marine Super 90. I think the Rock and Roll shotgun with Perfectly Extra is also really good, but it's a DZ exclusive, so the 3 best shotguns you could farm outside of the Dark Zone would be those 3. Alright agents, well that was the targeted loot for today. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to subscribe, like, and share if you enjoyed my content. If you would like to become a member for support and exclusive perks, you can click the join button below. I would really appreciate that, and I appreciate everyone that does. You can also grab some Shadow Gaming merch by clicking the link in the pinned comment and video description below. I do have a promo code for just a few more days. It'll be in the pinned comment and video description as well. And yeah, other than that, you can support me on Alt Tech. But really, if you're still watching this video right now to the end, thank you very much. I really do appreciate anyone that does watch this video in full. Take care, agents, and be sure to stay tuned for more daily Division 2 content. This is Agent Shadow signing off. I will see you in the next video. Take care, agents.